Welcome to the Screen Time Continuum. I am Keelan, and I am here for the episode that we are bringing to you for the movie called The Empty Man. I'm here as always on this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. The same guys, the only people that you want to hear to give their opinions with me. Who else but Nick and Dijon? How you doing, fellas?
Happy Wednesday, man. Good. How are you?
Huh?
I'm doing good too. Same guys. What the fuck?
What?
You expected someone else on the screen?
They might have. You never know. They
Well,
might
you
have
know
been
what?
like, you know what? Keelan's not showing up, or Dijon's
Don't
not showing up, or Nick's not
don't
showing up.
don't be surprised. I have my wife filming one night.
That
Don't be
only if
actually,
she
surprised though.
only if she really hates a movie, then I definitely want to hear
I was
what
just
she
gonna
has to
say,
say about
let's
it.
find a movie that they all hate, and we can definitely
Yeah.
take a night off and give them
Yes,
control. I'm down.
I'm for it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
um, yeah, man. Wednesday is, I don't know. Wednesday just kind of for me lately seems like that day where we have that what the fuck, but not quite disappointing um thing to cover. There's been a couple of Sundays that are non-show related where it's just a total flop. But I'll see how you guys feel about this. But the way I feel right now is Wednesday is that day where you kind of can be on either side of the tracks and you're not wrong. So I say all of that jumping into tonight's movie. Tonight's movie is titled The Empty Man. It is currently on HBO Max, and I also saw it's on Hulu with a premium subscription. This movie came out in 2020.
Last year.
Let's see. It is. How did I lose his name that quick? I wrote a lot here. Um, Sorry, give me a minute. Well, it is by Boom Films or Boom Productions. I do know that off the top of my head. Boom Productions is run by, I believe, or excuse me, let's start from the top of this. The movie Empty Man was written as a novel. That novel has 14 issues. The first run of that was in 2014, and then 2018 there was another run. So that graphic novel is out there, and that's where they got the base content or the source content for this. It was originally filmed in 2017 and had some poor test screenings by 20th Century Fox. So it didn't come out then, but ever since it has come out. It kind of has a cult following. It's interesting to say that if you've seen the movie or if you watch the rest of this, you'll totally understand. For anyone who has not seen the movie Empty Man that came out in 2020, and you guys don't want us to spoil this for you, I suggest you turn around now. That is the last thing I can probably say that won't ruin what this movie is about and where it's going for you. Uh, but if you are interested in what we have to say about the Empty Man, continue to listen, and we will continue to tell you more. The Empty Man's music was scored by Christopher Young. Now, this guy Christopher Young, for me, you guys know I have this thing where I like to look up the people who scored the movies, right, or who did the movies. So it's scored by Christopher Young and another guy named Lust Mord. Now, Lust Mord has really only done this in one other movie. Other than that, he just does like creepy sounds for video games and graveyards and crypts and all of those kind of horror shows, creep shows, right? But Christopher Young, he's done scores for movies like Set It Off, Hellraiser, The Grudge, Urban Legend, Spider-Man 3, Ghost Rider. I mean, I was looking through his I guess you would call it his discography because he's not an actor, but he does music. So his discography, and man, I was impressed. Thoroughly impressed from 1984 all the way until last year. This dude's worked on some stuff, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. He's worked on some amazing stuff. Definitely look him up. I'll even give you a few more really quick. Deliver Us from Evil, Pet Cemetery, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, Swordfish, Into Deep with LL Cool J, and hey, yeah, I'll stop there. So yeah, I was really excited about that. But yeah, so before I ask you guys too much about the movie, um, I want to ask you about the actors. So we have in this movie. Sorry, I didn't realize how far off camera I was. We have in this movie James Badge Dale, right? Ron Canada, uh Marin Ireland, Tanya Van Graham, excuse me, and Stephen Root. I think those are the only people. Oh, Samantha Logan. Those are probably the only people I can say I've seen anywhere. Can you say you've seen any of these actors or actresses in any other films or shows?
Stephen Root and Dodgeball.
Yeah,
Really?
and Stephen Root is Bill Dotree.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he
That
plays the dude with the goggles in Dodgeball. The
in
one who has
Dodgeball.
the mean wife.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember him totally. Yeah, I've seen him in quite a bit. Him and he and Aaron, I mean, excuse me, he and Ron Canada, the Officer Villers.
Mm-hmm.
I've probably seen those two guys in the most. And then James Badge Dale, the guy who played James, the detective, I remember him in The Departed. The Departed. He played one of the other officers, I believe. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I can't really. Oh, and Samantha Logan, the Devora, the friend that was murdered in the shower. I remember her from some TV show. I don't even think I watched the show, but I remember her face and that TV show correlated somehow. But yeah, that I can't really say I knew anyone else, which is why I really wanted to have that be the first kind of thing we go over or question, like if you guys knew any of the talent from anywhere else.
Not until you guys said the dude from Dodgeball. I was like, oh, I just literally watched that not too long ago. Can't believe I missed that.
All right, so yeah, that's pretty much how that goes, man. Other than that, I wasn't disappointed with any of the acting. Well, nope, that would be a false.
Oh, shit.
That would be a false. I can't say I was extremely disappointed with any of the acting. There was a little bit of acting that was like, really, but nothing that was over the top. Like, how did you get this job? So, yeah.
I tell you, I am fine with the acting. It was way better than Meg. What's that shit called we watch? Meg.
Malignant.
Malignant.
Oh, Malignant. Yes.
That acting
this
was
is
just
way
like-
better than Malignant.
Okay. But yeah.
Okay.
That acting
Um,
with me.
So the movie this movie is about an ex-cop who is searching for his missing neighbor, and by doing that he discovers a whirlwind of fuckery in the form of a cult.
Hold on.
um,
His ex plaything's daughter.
I wouldn't call her his ex-plaything. That definitely seemed like a one-time thing.
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
I think we are a little bit as well, but I definitely would not. Okay, so wait, yeah. So yeah, this movie is about an ex-cop who is searching for a missing girl, and by way of searching for this missing girl, who is his next door neighbor, I believe, he stumbles upon a whole bunch of shit that nobody would ever want to stumble up on, and yeah, it gets really crazy. That's really the only way to explain this. It's kind of fun. It's a really nice ride, in my opinion. But that's really what it is. It's an ex-cop searching for a missing girl, and
Down the rabbit hole.
that's it. Yeah, down the rabbit hole. So, initial thoughts about everything. Nick, Dejan, what do you guys have?
Nick, I went first. You go
Okay.
first. Last time.
Yep.
While I
will go
sip my
first.
water and have my Twix moment.
Yeah. Okay, so this movie, I tried to give the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to like it. I think I enjoyed a lot of aspects to it. It was long, and not in the best kind of way. I wasn't on the edge of my seat, but the last 30 minutes destroyed any goodwill that I had for it, unfortunately. We'll get into the details of the weirdness that's going on, but It was, I don't know. I want to say that it was good because I like the concepts that it was trying to play at, but this movie is punching above its weight class. And I don't think that it would be like putting an amateur boxer in Mike Tyson's body and expecting, them to fight well. Like I just feel like they bit off more than they could chew with this concept. And it is a graphic novel series, and I'm actually more interested now in reading the graphic novel series because this type of story needed it was too long for a movie, but way too short for the story. Right. So the story needed to be a series, in my opinion. If that's the way you were going to do it, then that's the way you should have done it. The last half hour of the movie completely obliterates the first hour and 45 minutes. And it is one of those movies. It's 2 hours and 16 minutes. So, but yeah, I mean, so like, yeah, we'll get into the details, but yeah, last part of it killed it for me.
Jean?
Okay, so I think the first problem for me was seeing Boom Studios.
Okay.
Because I was like,
I know familiar.
I'm familiar with Boom Studios. Like, I know what Boom Studios.
And really quick, this is one of their latest creations. This is not an old work. This is like as old as 2014, I believe, is its creation.
Yeah. And the thing is,
not sorry, but when you're done, I want to give a little background on the graphic novel. I meant to do that as well.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Because of that, I'm disappointed. Like, I was like, I did not want to jump into start looking at things. I was like, no. Let me go through this movie first before I do that. And first, wow, I don't know. That was like the first 20 minutes when they were all doing that hiking thing. I was just like, all right, we got some cab. Goddamn. 32 minutes of that scene with the four hikers. I thought that was interesting. I sincerely thought that was interesting. I was digging that. And first thing I was thinking, I was like, it's kind of refreshing. Kind of remind me a little bit of Cabin Fever. And I was just like, And it's funny because the guy who directed Cabin Fever is the dude that played the bear Jew from Inglourious Bastards.
Eli Roth.
Yeah.
Eli, and he's now directing the Borderlands movie, if anybody's familiar with that. But I just had to throw it out there since I don't know about that yet. Since I'm making that comparisons to Cabin Fever, I was like, all right, we got this Cabin Fever type shit. And then I'm just like, all right. Then it does this shift. Then I was like, all right, it did this shift. And then I was like, all right, I'm sorry. I fucked up. I went and did some research. Then believe it or not, I read all 12 issues.
You read all 12 issues
before you read before. What did you skip? And you skipped something in the ongoing series, didn't you?
No, I read everything.
Oh, okay.
Because it's on Comixology for free if you got unlimited.
I knew it would be on there. I didn't think to look.
And
I didn't have time to read it either.
And I'm very familiar with the writer because he's written some shit I did really enjoy. And I was just like, you should be ashamed of yourself, my man. You fucking pulled the what's his name from World War Z? I forget that dude. Max, whatever his name is, the son of the guy that did Blazing Saddle. But I was like, wow, it's your first. Not Mel Gibson.
Mel Brooks, excuse me.
Mel
Brooks. Max Brooks, his son. He pulled a Max Brooks, in my opinion. He got his first Hollywood debut. He got a ticket to sell his shit, and this is how I felt. This dude sold this shit, and they just totally shitted over a really good concept. And just reading through it, I'm like, this could have been a really, really good TV series that could have branched out into different books it had. And I was just like, whoa. And this movie exploded in so many different directions that it should have been, honestly, to tell you guys the God honest truth, it shouldn't have never been called The Empty Man. It should have been called something else.
The full of shit. It's
No,
just
no, no.
full of
been
too much.
So
Ghost of the Cult or some shit, or
Yeah.
right
something.
with Dejan saying that, the reason he's saying that is exactly what I was going to say about the comic, or excuse me, I wouldn't even call it the graphic novel. The Empty Man is the name of a virus. This is supposed to take place during a pandemic,
Yep.
and the pandemic is caused by the Empty Man virus. And the whole clusterfuck starts because even though everybody else just assimilates and goes along with whatever is being told, this one girl in her family is like, "Fuck yeah, that this ain't nah." And the rest of the story kind of rolls.
Yeah, and the thing is, what pissed me off is that they took little bits of the synopsis. They didn't even take much of the source material. They just took trinkets of the synopsis through a couple of storylines from this, and just threw some shit together and try to make it a ghost story to get ready for October.
I like how you did that because this movie came out in October last year. Oh crap! And this movie came out in the UK originally in I think October 23rd. It was in 2020.
And I can see why. Sorry, to cut you off. I can see why there's a cult following for the simple reason that's probably people that are fans of the book and call him Bun when they're just like, you know what? Who gives a fuck? We got this and it's good to us. Just in that direction. Then there's this, and I can see why it tested so bad. People were just like, hell,
yeah, you couldn't.
Super Mario status.
Ooh, yeah.
I was a bum. I think I was pretty bummed too because the concept of like mimetic viruses would have been really fucking cool. They tried to talk about it with the brain itch and how like, oh, he's in your head and oh, it's contagious, but they never actually like established that, and they never like showed that being a thing. And like, so because it reminds me of Legion. There's an episode in Legion where John Hamm narrates the beginning of it, and it's talking about mind viruses and how like how humans can get attached to an idea and it causes like a virus like effect and it spreads amongst other humans. And that's done really, really well. And it's only like a 10-minute segment. I really enjoy that, but that concept of a mind virus would have been really good. They also plays with some heavy hitting philosophy in this movie, which they don't do well enough. I was really interested when they started getting into the deconstructionalism and the nihilism and stuff like that, because I'm like, okay, so I'm interested in that type of stuff. And if you guys can do it in a way that like brings it to the horror aspect, then that's really cool. But they just, it fell flat for me.
They tickled it a little bit.
I'll tell you this: if you enjoyed that, there is I read all this because it wasn't much for me to read, and it was basically a slow day for me at work, and I was just like, meh. Yeah, I'm like, this is what I do. And they do have, because they're broken up into three. I think four. You have the Empty Man. You have the Empty Man such and such that follows the story of this family. Then you have the Empty Man recursion is another one that follows after the fact. And the one, which is Empty Man, it dives into the concept of a cult, which is this cult trying to have a different variant of the Empty Man virus be let loose. And they have all this philosophy on trying to bring order with chaos to the world. And they enjoyed that. And this is why I'm like, yeah, for sure. This would have been a bomb ass TV show like on HBO Max or fucking even Amazon Prime or something like that can bankroll it and can show this stuff.
Yeah,
you know, I totally agree. Yeah, after finding out about the concepts of the graphic novel, which because this movie was pretty long, I did have to break it up because I had some other things that were timelined, and I want to say I found out about the novels in between viewing the movie, like maybe halfway through, and that's when I realized like, Oh, okay. I don't want to do too much research on the novel because it might destroy what I'm learning or looking at through the movie.
Let
So
me.
once the movie was over, I went and got the information on the novel, and that's when I was like, I like the movie, but I see where they kind of jumbled some of that up.
And let me correct myself real quick. I did finish the movie before jumping into anything else. After watching the movie, that's when I just went through it, reading everything. I was just like, all right, so I can hurry up and make some compare and contrast for tonight's podcast. So I was like, all right, I want to be solid on this, make sure I'm just not being biased about anything.
Mhm.
So yeah, so from there, now that we've given some background, some deets on what we have gathered and what we know about the Empty Man, let's call it the Empty Man universe at this point now, right? Everything has its own universe. It's 2021. I mean, the multiverse is real, people.
I'm gonna call it the boogeyman,
The
the interdimensional boogeyman.
Hey, wait, there is a
Mhm.
boogeyman, and he definitely goes by multiple names. So I'm with you. Um, this movie, The Empty Man, starts in 1995 in the Ura Valley of Bhutan. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Baton
Bhutan? That's somewhere in India or
in
China,
Nepal.
Nepal. Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
See, I gotta be smart to watch. Like, you actually have to know some things to watch some of these movies, or I promise you miss things. And so the moment I saw that, like really quick, the moment I saw that before I jump into the story of it, the first thing I thought was, it's a curse.
That curse. Yeah.
That's what I was hoping it was went for. And
Mm.
Shut up.
No, yeah. But yeah, immediately I was like, it's a curse. It took me to some Tomb Raider,
Mhm.
even Ace Ventura kind of treaded on that,
Let me.
just understanding curses and tread lightly upon certain territories type
Can
of
I
deal.
can I just mention one thing?
Mhm.
Why didn't that dude did not have like no broken legs or shoulders and shit when he fell?
Don't let's like yeah, I know totally.
We'll get
Yeah.
oh my god, we'll get there. Oh my god, we'll get there. So, because if you ask me, the beginning of this movie, even though confusing, there was a little bit of realism to that whole hiking and everything they went through. Like they added some real life
It was beautiful.
thought
Well,
and
it definitely
characteristics of it.
ended with a hook, and that's the
Yes,
reason that I watched the rest of the hour and 45 minutes that was left in this movie.
it definitely was like, what the dumbass? This shit is crazy. All right, what
Mhm.
happens next?
Right.
And actually, so when we get to the end of this, what we're about to talk about, I actually feel like I had just finished watching an episode of something.
Mhm.
That's really how it felt, like an episode of something had went off, and I think that was executed perfectly. So, we're following four friends up a mountain, and they're hiking and just being friends, and then they realize it looks like a storm's rolling in. They're gonna head down. The friends are Greg, Paul, Ruthie,
Mhm.
and
No name.
she didn't have a name, did she?
No.
Okay, cool.
She's a kitchen knife woman.
Yeah,
We don't
kitchen.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Paul hears a sound. First off, this is where I would look back and they kind of lose me here. They kind of lose me here. The storyline goes at some point you must speak to and or come into contact with someone who has been inhabited by the Empty Man. Paul has
Mhm.
done none of the above.
Besides the other Greg fucking touching him after he said, "You touch me, you die."
Mhm.
No, that was Paul. That was Greg touching Paul.
Yeah,
Paul's
yeah.
the one who
Yeah.
falls
Well,
down in the hole and
and also
becomes
you shouldn't
a vessel.
hear the whistle. You shouldn't hear the whistle of the empty man unless you call him.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
And
Nobody called him.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying because
Yeah.
Paul has had no contact. This part does not add up for me looking back.
Mm-mm.
How does he hear the sound? There's no reason
Mhm.
for him to be invited by the Empty Man. The only way they would have been able to, in my opinion, they would have maybe been able to get us had one of them touched one of the I guess you would call them the monks when they were passing.
Mm.
Or another person in the town as they were on their way up the trail. Had someone just touched one person?
See, okay, so this is what I think they're trying to do to justify this. So when Paul falls into the chasm or the
Oh, he did it.
crevasse after hearing the whistle, he sees the the skeleton. Skeleton is of Kali, which is the goddess of destruction in Hindu religion. She's also the goddess of darkness. So what I think they're trying to do is say that that skeleton was the embodiment of an ancient empty man in the form of Kali, the goddess of death and destruction.
Yes, that I
But
believe.
it wears kind of thin. I mean, like that's me trying to be charitable about it.
Yeah, no, but that I believe I'm with you on that. I was right there with you from the beginning that was some sort of a goddess or a Nephilim or a demon, but just the whole Paul being lured to it initially. Like once you fall in the hole, I'm sure you hit it, you touch it, you're in its layer. I get that. But just leading up to the crevice, just before he falls into this hole, like how does that part happen?
Right.
And don't give me that, oh, the wind traveled through the crevice at a certain rate of speed. And, when the wind picked up, it made a sound. Nah, he was lured. But after he is lured, day one ensues. And day one is the first of 3 days of the empty man. On the first day of the empty man, you hear the empty man. On the second day of the empty man, you see the empty man. And on the third day of the empty man, you feel the empty man. That just sounds creepy as hell. So once they get to Greg in this hole, they pull Greg out the hole. Okay, day one, guys, what you doing? You pull Greg out the hole. Are you trying to get down the mountain? Are you holding up in the cabin? Is somebody else
leaving
going
creepy ass Greg in the hole, man. What are you talking about?
Hey, what if I become creepy ass Greg?
Hey, man, if you sit there and you're like, don't touch me or you'll die, I'm like, okay, boss.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. He did say that shit.
You become creepy ass Keelan.
Yeah.
Like, if I say something like that, maybe don't touch me.
Yeah, man. I just, I
forgot he said that.
After falling 30 feet and suffering no injury and then being like manifesting 20 feet away from the fall area in front of a creepy ass Kali skeleton.
Bro,
I like that the dude didn't even mention the skeleton to the girls.
At all. It didn't bother
Not
me
at all.
I just want to say, you've seen me fall off of a chair. There's no way I'm falling 30 feet now.
Right.
Fall off a chair.
No injuries whatsoever.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that. He really wasn't injured in any way.
Dude,
and what rope did you have that's going to get you to get 30 feet down? So how was Greg not injured? And how did they get back up?
They were super prepared for camping, dude.
He picked Paul up and then climbed a rope up 30 feet. Either so that or two women picked him up.
Right. Maybe the verbiage was what I liked about this, because that is not the most realistic parts of this movie at all. So yeah, day one, Greg, Paul tells Greg, don't touch him. Greg picks him up, touches him, takes him back to the cabin. Everybody touches him. Now everybody's about to die. He he whispers in Ruthie's ear. We don't know
after, and that pissed me off. It's like, dude, after the fact. So it's like, how do these people even know? And this is where it's like they took trinkets of a very interesting concept and just warped it into a bunch of like a ghost story, or like it started off with like some type of like weird fucking trance or fucking possession thing into this whole fucking
monster.
This monster thing into this boogeyman thing into this children's thing. Like the narrative was just like bounce, 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 bounce. Where do we want to go? We're playing hot potato with this. And I was just like, okay, if we went into this new lore after we change settings with different characters, we go into this lore of like a ghost story, like you go on a bridge at night or whatever after dark and you blow on it and you think of nothing but the empty man. These people did not think nothing of it. I can forgive that in the beginning because this dude basically went to like this weird embodiment of this shit. I was like, okay. Then his girlfriend or whatever is like, oh, I'm just gonna blow on this weird
Bone.
looking shit.
Mm-hmm.
And they know nothing of this Empty Man character.
No.
Because like all of a sudden she's slicing and dicing and shit.
Right. Right.
Like she comes out of a Halloween movie.
And they do make a point later on in the movie saying like you have to think about him. You have to think about him intensely. But those people have no idea what the Empty Man is.
Then the main character is on a bridge, not at night, and it's just like.
So that's day 3, right? So yeah, no. So let's before we get to
it's
day 3.
Day 1 again. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, day 2 is when we're still up Paul and them before the
right.
Before the
blizzard
major
game.
Yeah. So when the blizzard hits, I'm sorry. Did you just see something rush at me and all of a sudden y'all at my door? I'm not opening this door.
How did they not see it?
It's the illusion.
Well, and so at one point in this movie, I started thinking, is it a mind control thing? Like, is it a hypnosis thing? But we'll get there. And this is another one of those moments, though, where Ruthie has whatever this is rushing at her, and then all of a sudden it's her friends. Like, is it psychosis? Like, what is going on?
It seems like it's supposed to be psychosis, which would fall in line with the graphic novel. Because even when you see the homegirl kill herself in the steam room, she's doing it to herself.
Yeah,
nobody else is there.
That's the moment there. I'm like, yo, that's some severe level of like you are being controlled by somebody else.
Yeah, that's why I said it's fucking. It takes trinkets of it, and so like you had to read the graphic novel in a sense to kind of understand why these people might do it, and it's like they're treating it as some interdimensional entity or thing, versus where it's like, oh, it makes sense because of, like you guys said, psychosis, and these are basically symptoms of this disease, and within this universe's pandemic. And it's just like, you could, if that was applied in the movie, the ending would totally make sense.
Everything would make sense. Yeah. A whole lot would make sense. But some other things come up. So really quick, just to get out of 1995 before we jump into 2018. So they go out to the bridge, they get Paul, and she just Ruthie annihilates Greg and No Name, and then tosses them. First off, where'd she get all this strength? Sing, toss you off the mountain.
Just
and you still standing in the same spot, lady?
Well, I mean, we know why at the end, right? We know why, because. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I can even. Okay, so this is what I'm supposing, right? So Paul is the embodiment of the empty man. So the empty man can then transmit, because it's all about transmitting and receiving. The empty man can transmit ideas to people, and then they go do those things.
Yes. Yeah, I grasped that part because when he whispered to her, that's how that. I'm just saying, for her to get the right, skippity skip. Yeah, I'm just saying for her to have the physical strength to do it. That's all. Just like
of course.
It reminds me of Malignant, like superhuman strength. I see this is a theme. So after all of that, Paul. 1995. We don't know what happens to Paul. He kind of just disappears. We'll find
exactly.
Paul again.
Like, what the fuck, dude? I was thinking Paul was the dude at the end. I'm sorry.
Oh, he was.
No. Paul. Paul is the.
Paul is the dude at the end. Yeah.
But I'm saying,
that's him. They didn't explicitly say it, but yeah.
The nurse explains it basically when she tells you he's been there in and out of things for 23 years, and you think about like, wait, they did tell you it started in 95 to 2018 is 23 years. So.
Yeah.
Wow. And I'm like, who the fuck is on that VHS tape? Like fucking twerking out and shit in Harlem shaking in a chair.
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, apparently that was Paul too.
No, or somebody before Paul.
What the fuck?
No. So dang, okay, we're jumping really
far. Oh yeah.
I'm just trying to make
sense I will remember this part.
Me too.
I will remember that part. Sorry. Yeah. But I have an answer for that. I promise I do. That was supposedly Paul. For the record, that was supposedly Paul. And I have an example as to why that was supposedly Paul. Because there was only one host before Paul. So In 2018, we meet James, the ex-cop who's jogging through the town, and man, this dude has like endurance. Um, I thought that was Paul
Oh yeah,
until
so
we
did I.
find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, until
Yeah.
we find out, like, oh, that I'm like, oh damn, Paul work at a security store. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
he
What a
got it
nice
going
dude.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like all right, he kind of figured life out.
His name is James La Sombra.
La Sombra, and that is a name for you, La Sombra.
Means the shadow in Spanish.
Yes, it does.
It's still on the nose.
It really, it's weird because you think like I don't care how many times, every time La Sombra, I'm sitting there like
They keep saying
I'm
it.
sure-
They
yeah, and I
keep
feel
saying
like
it. Yeah.
Dejan, does that correlate anywhere in the novel?
Is there a James La Sombra in the novel?
No,
Is there
no,
a shadow figure in
Of
the
course not.
no. I'm gonna just, dude. They don't even use the, the little girl name. It's. You would think this little girl pairs up with the girl that was
Is her
dealing
real
with
name
this.
Megan?
No,
Oh,
it's
Melanie,
fucking Melissa.
Melissa. There you go.
Not
I know it's
Amanda.
them. It's not
It's
Amanda.
not Amanda. It's fucking
And they're polar
Melissa.
opposite people.
Mm.
Fucking Melissa. Let me.
Melissa is
Yo,
not.
why did Amanda look like Will Byers from Stranger
She
Things?
needed to
Why
fix that
did she
fucking
look
hair.
like
That
Will
hair was
Byers?
disturbing, my dude.
It was so
I couldn't
creepy.
piece it together. Thank you.
She looked like
played
Will
her part
Byers
great.
from Stranger Things. Just go watch season 1 of Stranger Things. That's the same person right there.
Yes.
Girl name was Melissa Carey.
Melissa Carey.
The
Okay.
Carey family. All these characters in this movie. This is why I sincerely said this should not be called The Empty Man. It should be something completely different because
Just
they
loosely
use
based.
yeah, really loosely based. They basically just we're gonna just revamp your shit.
I mean, apparently it's technically the same people who wrote it worked on the screenplay, so technically they revamped their own shit.
He needs to be socked in his face.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think that was the part that made me not feel such a way. It's like, hey, you chose to make it, I guess you could say, adaptable. And apparently this is also the rough edit that was put out. Like there was never a final draft because it failed tests.
Did you know what? It's gonna get the
Jesus,
same.
man.
It's gonna get the same fucking treatment I feel about Zack Snyder's bullshit Justice League. That everybody's like, it's better. I'm not watching that shit again for 4 hours. I'm
You know
sorry.
what? You know what though? Yeah, you know what though? I think that this is probably a move for WB to retain the rights to this IP.
Ooh.
They probably had to put this out in a certain amount of time in order to keep the IP because they plan on using it in the future. I could see that actually happening.
That's probable. That's highly probable.
And I'm gonna say the same thing about the Umbrella Academy. I'm not a fan of the fucking Umbrella Academy TV show on Netflix.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'd rather reread the fucking 3 volumes that is completely out. Written by Gerard Reid, the lead singer of MCR, My Chemical Romance.
Thank you.
He did
I'm
such.
sitting here like,
Who's MCR?
No. I was trying to remember his name. I knew what band and stuff.
And it pissed me off knowing that he had the whole complete creative control over that TV show, and he was there from beginning to end, and he just really shat on something really good he created into this. These are one of these. I'm gonna say this straightforward, and I'm not a person who jumps on that and talks about it. This is the first time I'm gonna say I sincerely dislike something that was gender bend and race bended. Because I think it was just very uncalled for in this sense. Anything else, I do not care. But this particularly, I think he was literally trying to be on that line of being there.
For the
Umbrella
Academy.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
I love Mary J. Blige, but she didn't need to be there.
She was in that?
Played a psycho.
So hip hop is a fun type of music. I don't know. So Amanda disappears. Do we understand why Amanda went to see James? Like they just friends?
She was the fucking puppet master.
Yeah.
Oh
apparently.
no, yeah, apparently.
Yeah. Oh,
But
also, this is like a Philip Morris commercial. Why is everybody smoking cigarettes? the hell was going on? Like, bro, homeboy was jogging through the town and then just stopped to fucking have a cigarette while he was jogging.
Any health nut would be like, that's not possible. But I had an English teacher that would go running and smoke right afterwards. I mean,
You think they got any sponsors?
I just think like it was crazy seeing like so many people smoking in one movie for like no reason.
It was supposed to bring back that nostalgia of the 90s and 80s movies.
The
Yeah.
kid that got in a car.
Yo,
just to
that
smoke.
was the weirdest.
What?
That was weird.
Can I get one? Smoking's bad for your health.
Like, dude, you used to be an ex-cop and you're telling some
Get in the
kids
car.
get in the
Get in
car.
the car.
What?
Get in the car. I have cigarettes.
First, it was, don't give her a cigarette. Then he said, get in the car. And I was like,
They're bad for you.
Mhm.
fuck you.
Bro, you
Then
used to be an
that was when I
ex-cop.
paused it and I was like, all right, when does this come out? United Kingdom. Oh, okay. It's a UK movie. All right. Shit's a little different over there. Carry
Personally,
on.
I'm like,
It's a UK
Like,
movie.
It's apparently was originally released in the UK. When you look it up,
Oh,
it is
okay.
original
Because
release
it was
is
shot
United
in
Kingdom.
Long Beach.
Yeah, apparently. And
There's a-
Boom
there's a lot
Studios
of
is based in Los Angeles.
Yeah, there was a lot of Long Beach shots.
Yeah. So, but when I looked it up, it said United Kingdom was its original release. So I'm guessing it was tailored to be released out there originally. That's probably where it felt the test screenings. That's probably really what happened.
dude, like, fuck that. That's probably what they had. They cult.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I could
Right.
kind of understand where it fails the test screening. This movie isn't really marketable.
you know what? As many people I used to know that used to work for 20th Century Fox, a lot of old customers, they used to have horror stories about working with 20th Century Fox. So I know people that have worked on Chronicles and The Last Fantastic Four. Horror stories. Just horror stories. And basically, it was a circus and people did whatever the fuck they want.
They get paid to deal with it. Don't they know what their look? People think they get paid to do the job that they signed up for. You like doing that stuff already. That's why you're there. You're getting paid to deal with all the other shit.
Depending on who you were, and I will share a personal story with somebody later, off screen.
Nicely done.
I hated Amanda's hair.
I did too.
Will definitely
Bro.
needs
Shoot
a
her.
new
I was
barber.
hoping he shot her at the end.
Will needs a new barber for sure. But we didn't see much of Amanda. We saw her at the beginning and at the end, so we'll be fine.
Why was she sitting in his backyard like a creep?
Because she's a creep.
Dude, there was some sexual tension when that little girl and him.
That little girl's creepy. So when it comes the next day and she's missing, I feel like he sprung into, I'm going to help action a little too easily.
Well, yeah, because her mom used to be his main, used to be like his
okay, now we can
squeeze.
talk about that. That was a one-time thing, buddy.
I don't think so, my dude.
It was
listen.
a no-time thing, you guys.
Because her husband died.
No, it never happened. None of it ever happened. They say at the end of the movie that he's only 3 days old.
Absolutely.
He was created 3 days ago.
Then fuck this movie.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you missed that?
No, I don't want to believe that. I'm like, this is like.
Oh, you're like, if we're running with that theory, then there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, because in retrospect,
Hey, it's a long 3 days.
In retrospect, to shit, it's like, how do you do that? And he's like, well, he needs a vessel that has like a lot of sorrow. I'm like, there's a lot of fucked up people in the world you could have did this to. Like,
yeah,
why create?
Why was Paul a fucked up person? I mean, probably, but dude, so like doesn't even exist. He's not even a real person. So he never had an affair with but he saw the woman, and then the woman didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
What is going on?
I thought that
very
was
weird.
And that's what made the only thing that honestly made make sense. The whole, you're not real. You've only been here 30 days. We created you through manifestation. The only thing that made it make sense was when the cop was like, oh yeah, the detective. Hey, I've heard about you. What the fuck does that mean?
unless all these people were
Are in on
legitimately
it.
were in on
I
it
think
and
the
fucking
entire
like
town is.
fucking
I,
splinter cells.
I think the
Yeah.
entire town is a part of the cult.
Is a part of the cult.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish we could have. I mean, yeah, the only confirmation of that we get is at the very end when they all bow to him
About
for some
in
fucking reason.
allegiance, my liege. So yeah, he
Uh,
eventually starts to help. He finds all of this stuff in
I
her
need a new
room.
profession. I need a career. You guys have anybody that's hiring? Because I work for a call and this makes me nervous now.
You are hilarious. Uh,
I'm being serious though.
I don't think you are, but you know.
I know I'm dead ass.
Um, so he finds all this paperwork about the Pontifex Institute. We find out it's the Pontifex Society, and they were established in 2013. Ma'am, do you understand how cults work?
hmm
You
Yeah, I
definitely
do.
weren't established in 2013 because whatever you believe in is usually some supernatural deity that comes before time, according to the stories that you guys tell. So
Mm.
you definitely
Based
weren't established in 2013.
well, based on him, it was all supposedly new.
3 days.
You'd be surprised. Like I'm being dead ass. I legitimately work for one, and the thing is, these things come and go. People they use this front for spiritual findings.
Mm.
People think they need spiritual finding or they want to try something new based off of what they're advertising, yoga, fucking sound meditation, whatever. And people get they eat up into this because people need escapism in their lives. And it did touch upon some real shit that is very active around the world that we don't
Sounds
Mm.
like
see.
sounds like at the head of all of these organizations is somebody that went to business school.
See,
Honestly, yeah.
I'm so disappointed with this movie because it really touched on some interesting things, and you get the first glimpse of it when you get the name of the high school, which is Jacques Derrida High School. Jacques Derrida was a French philosopher back in the early 1900s to about 19. Oh, he lived until I think like 2013 or something like that.
Oh wow.
But he popularized the concept of deconstructionism. So that concept of like when they were talking about, you know, how you say your name so many times it just becomes gibberish. Jacques Derrida's supposition was that everything is basically meaningless. That there is no meaning to any of this stuff, and it's all just like bullshit. And so like I was kind of like getting interested because I'm like, well, I hate these philosophies, but I think that they're interesting, and it would be cool to see a cult surrounded by these philosophies. Another little interesting tidbit that I recognized was the mantra that they were listening to while inside the little like cult area, and the mantra was "Nothing exists. Even if something exists, nothing can be known about it. And even if something can be known about it, knowledge about it cannot be communicated to others." And that's by Gorgias. It's actually a solipsistic philosophy. And so I was jazzed. I was like, oh, dude, this could be really fucking cool. Like if we get into like some mind twisty shit here, and then it didn't go there.
Which they tried to.
They tried.
I don't. In my opinion, they had Google, but they didn't have anybody in. No, for real.
They had Wikipedia.
But aside from the people who Googled and utilized what they, what brain power they had to put two and two together, they didn't have anybody in the writer's room for the screenplay that was like into
philosophy and stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's why I said it's punching above its weight class. It's like it's playing with concepts that it didn't know how to handle.
And this is what I mean, where I used to hate it when I used to volunteer at a comic book store, where this is where I hate it when watching fucking producers walk in and they're flipping fucking books. What do you think for, this will make a good movie or TV series and this and that? And this is what pissed me off with certain shows, certain animes, certain things where people take a concept of something and just shit all over it. And the thing is, they advertise to a certain media or a certain group of people who think they're ignorant to it. And the worst part about it, when you get people that are actually informed about this stuff, and it's just like, you're gonna do that dirty like that?
Yeah.
So why even try to get your feet dirty with it?
Well, I think what happens a lot in creation is people get sucked into the numbers game, right? And as you guys know how much I love numbers, but people get sucked into that. They get sucked into wanting to have the box office hit, wanting to have the highest profit of the week, the month, the year, all time, all of those things. Even if you know you don't have something that's in that realm, for whatever reason, they lose sight during creation of the art and they start chasing the money. And so
Honestly, I
And this,
honestly
integrity
think
is left. Integrity is lost, excuse me.
yeah, I honestly think that all of these studios at during 2020 were like, what are we sitting on?
Mhm.
yeah,
What are we
for,
sitting on? Let's get it out there. Get it
for
out there.
for sure. And in this instance, I don't even think it's about that. I think
Mm.
it's just we got something. People, we're gonna make money on a sense of it's gonna be some type of horror suspense thing, and people love scary movies, especially around this time. And
Mhm.
next to that, it's a graphic novel, so we have another demographics joining the ranks for giving us more
Yeah.
cash.
Hmm.
Yeah, because
And
they're gonna go check it out because they already know about the source material.
and it's not that. And I hate to do this, and I'm gonna make this comparison. I'm gonna make this comparison towards Disney and Marvel.
Mm.
Hmm.
They they take some of the source material, they do some research. They don't make it panel for panel, character for character, but they take something with the source material and create something new but old. So it's something that is somewhat catering to a new audience and also paying tribute to the source material in a nice homage.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And that's
It's
it.
it's similar to what they did with the Passage, Justin Cronin's book, The Passage, and
Ooh,
I
the
want to say the
passage.
follow up is the 12. Uh, I think there was a third one, but I only read the first two. But there was a show on Fox, The Passage, with called The Passage,
I
and
remember
that
that.
show did okay, but it only made one season. What is the guy who played Zach from Saved by the Bell?
He still is Zach.
Yeah.
It's true. I can't remember
Mhm.
his name right now, but he played the agent. He played Agent Woolgas.
What? That was
Um,
him? Okay.
yeah, he played the main character in that, and he did a really good job. Like I was between him and the little girl that was introduced that played the main character, just their chemistry on screen was like, all right, cool. Season 2 through 7 gonna be crazy, and then they never came back.
Mhm.
And I think that just happens a lot because, like we see with this movie, there is so much that they can take from the source material. They can do so much. Even within this movie, they mention tulpas, which are like constructs of the mind, imaginary friends, so to speak. Like that's literally the scientific name for an imaginary friend.
Mhm.
Um, the medicine that James was taking is an antidepressant that and a sleep aid.
Mhm.
Um, there was just a couple of things that were just taken from real world instances. When you even get to the camp that he got to a little later in the movie, that's Camp Crystal Lake. You see enough damn Jason movies, you know Camp Crystal Lake. And if it wasn't the real Camp Crystal Lake, they did a bang up job.
Oh yeah. Well,
I'm,
creepy camps all look the same, to be
This is
honest.
true, but they definitely made sure they
Yeah.
got that boathouse angle perfect.
I'm gonna tell you that. That's honestly that was my favorite. That was one of my favorite scenes. He's just sitting there across watching this shit. I was like, oh, that was trippy with the whole fucking fire and this and going into
Mm.
the stars and just warping. But I thought that scene was just so great. And he steps and they step. And
Hmm.
he's like, oh
That
fuck
was it.
And
this.
see, that's what I was talking about the philosophy stuff, because that was a demonstration of solipsism, which is the belief that you are the only thing that exists in this universe and everything else is a figment of your imagination. You're creating them. So when they took a step after he took a step, I was like, oh, that's dope. I like that because it's a visual representation of the fact that this character is the only thing that exists. Everything else is just a reflection of his psyche. But they didn't go there.
They didn't really, yeah,
So.
they didn't explain it to that level.
Yeah. No.
Mhm. So yeah,
Motherfucker.
um, we kind of touched on the moment where James goes to the. So first off, let's just address grown men should never be pulling up to high schools to find little kids.
Never.
It's just weird.
Never, never, never.
You should also, um, not give them cigarettes and tell them to get in your vehicle so they can smoke that cigarette with you. That's
Should also not film them naked when they're supposed to be high school kids. That's weird.
yeah, that's about
A little
two
weird.
scenes away, but I was very like, come on, I thought this was high school. Why is she at a spa? Oh, okay, they're gonna cut away. Oh, they didn't cut away. What is going on here? Okay, Google, tell me something good. Tell
Yeah.
me
Well,
something.
obviously she's not underage, but
No,
it's
no, no, no.
very
It wasn't.
strange.
It wasn't so much that. It was the concept of where, like, what is this? The rating of this movie? Where were they intending on putting this out? What was the?
Why did she have to be the
What was
only
the
one to get
goal?
naked?
Like
That
that's what
didn't
like
seem
I was like,
necessary.
was this an independent film at first? Like that's what the kind of stuff I started looking up. Like, how did this? What was going on?
Lots of
And
people
that's
just put
actually
a
how I found out
lots of
about.
people just put a towel on when you're in the steam room.
This is true, but and that's also how I found out about the failed screen test. Just trying to understand, like, okay, what are they doing? Where? Why? So yeah. He gets to the high school, he pulls up, he talks to Devora, she tells him about the whole situation with the empty man. So this is James' first time hearing about the empty man. And what I guess we realize over time is Devora and the other friends were rejects from the institute. They didn't make it through. And Amanda did.
Is that what happened?
I believe so.
Amanda was fucking killing people, dude,
But nobody
for
ever
fun.
talked. None of them ever talked about the institute.
No, they talked about the empty man.
No, but they needed to be explained to about the empty man. The kid, one of the guys, didn't know what it was. Remember?
Right.
Like the one she was crushing on or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like they weren't supposed to tell him, and
I just think that they like Dijon said, they took 3 different storylines and then tried to make them into one and just squished them together, and we're like, oh, this is good enough.
You're right. And they did enough of that. I'm not going to create any extra threads.
I am confused because it's like, okay, so if I keep wanting to say Slender Man, by the way, if the empty man is the dude in the coma in the hospital, and he's only in this town because they brought the body to the town, how is he also a shapeless, formless thing that's killing people? And then I guess he's not real. It's all in the people's heads.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the concept. Is he's only in the
he's just a figment of your imagination.
Yeah, but then he's killing people. It's killing people and shit.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of it all, he's like,
and why would it want to kill people?
Because it is chaos.
Chaos isn't destruction all the time. It's also creation.
True. See, I like that.
That's why I'm saying they fucked up.
Right. They immensely fucked up if we're talking about the chaos aspect of it. I didn't like that. It's interesting because I'm actually watching a show right now that we're not covering.
What are you watching?
I'm not going to tell you the name of it, but
because
I'll tell you.
Be covering it soon. Okay.
Squid the Game.
Maybe Squid
Billies.
Squid. No,
Squid
there's another
Billies,
show I'm watching though, and Squid Billies is a good show. Hey, Omar. There's a show I'm watching, and in that show, they are also talking about vessels of chaos. And a vessel of chaos in that show was just birthed through a human, and there was the original vessel of chaos is still living and came back to gain chaos back, like has been stalking this vessel until this vessel gained full power of chaos and is able to amass it, like hold it all in. I say all of that to say, if the empty man is the embodiment of chaos, it would somewhat make sense that it would need to be in a dormant vessel versus a moving vessel. And with it being in a living vessel now, that would explain what the boy, whose name we never got, but the boy said about him bringing destruction and chaos. And then moving into just what was able to happen at the end and everybody just kind of bowing like that didn't just happen in the middle of a hospital.
Yeah, like what in the fuck, dude? Like is yeah, I agree that whole city was like
He unloaded
It
a
has to be
clip
the whole
into
city.
a comatose person's head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yikes.
like, first thing I
Um.
thought he was just going to start drawing the fucking like on the fucking wall like that kid was doing
Mm.
with paint.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, so really quick on a rewind. I was confused that after Devore tells him everything, he just goes down to the bridge, finds this bottle, and blows in it, bruh.
The bridge
Right.
just like never left.
Like this gave me some Candyman vibes.
A little bit. Yeah.
You know,
Very, very like a Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the can. So I know Bloody Mary is more about the name, in
Mm-hmm.
the mirror. Um, Candyman also involves the mirror in a dark room. However, Candyman was similar to this in the whole stages situation. Like, oh, on day one, this, and on day
Mm-hmm.
two, it's gonna get worse.
Dude,
Um,
it's fucking producers and sloppy ass writers. Oh, let's just fucking turn it into this. Just
Mm-hmm.
like a good
Yeah.
ghost story, but we want it to be this. We want to be
Yeah.
philosophical, but
Yeah, but we
there
don't
was,
want to do too much of any of it because then that would make it something definite. And that, actually, that is actually a perfect postmodern movie, to be honest. If you think
yes,
about it, it is not anything in particular. It is nothing.
it's
It's
everything and nothing,
everything and nothing at once.
and
Yeah,
then at the
should have
end,
called
it's
it the
something
empty
totally different.
movie.
it is. It
It
makes
was
you feel empty because that's what the philosophy does. It
well,
leads to nihilism.
and really quick to even nice. Damn, that was nice.
Mhm.
To back what you were saying a little earlier about the last 30 minutes too. That seems to be a running thing.
Yeah.
Like just with I mean, even the stuff we enjoy, that seems to be a running theme. It's like the last 5, 6 scenes are kind of like you could have cut that shit out the movie. Just give
Yeah.
us the
I
characters.
mean,
Honestly,
yeah,
the whole first half an hour of the movie could have been cut out. They could have
that
just
too.
started right
I
there.
like that better than the last half an hour though.
Well, I
I
like the first half hour more
I
than
enjoy,
most of the movie, to be
I mean, I
honest.
enjoyed it. I
I totally
thoroughly
agree.
enjoyed that. And I'm like, that would have been a better movie if they just went with that. I kind of
Mhm.
felt like the same thing with like going back to Mortal Kombat. Like the
Mhm.
first 7 minutes of that movie with
Man,
Scorpion and fucking whatever his name, Sub
Sub-Zero.
Zero. I was like,
Yeah. That's a totally different movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
like
And
yeah,
well, and so what we get in this is like the whole breakdown of everything step by step. And then when we get to the end, uh we're really told that all of it really was created in the mind. Like none of it's real. Like none of it's real, which makes you even think, is the empty man real or did we just get mind fucked?
Hmm.
Well,
I
clearly the
honestly,
empty
the
man is
more
not
I'm
real,
thinking
but
about it, the more I'm thinking they purposely made this movie gibberish bullshit because they were trying to reinforce the philosophy that they were talking about.
it's all gibberish.
Yeah. I honestly, I think that might have been the point.
He
That might
did
have been the point.
he made
Yeah.
sure to repeat that and drive that home in that one
Yeah.
scene with Mr. Parsons or Arthur Parsons,
Hmm.
um, the cult leader. But he definitely made sure to push the is it gibberish
Doesn't mean
or
anything.
does it
Yeah.
mean or does it just
Hmm.
mean any, like he made sure to keep pushing that home. So
Yeah.
that is highly probable that that was the entire point of the entire movie was, all right, we're going to give you a little bit of this and we're going to give you a little bit of that. And they were going to give you this, the story that you think you were waiting for. And then we're just
Hmm.
going to end it all like this.
Yeah, there's no objectivity because objectivity can't exist in a deconstructionalist philosophy. So it's all got to be a subjective thing, and then you have to let go of your meaning making because that's just it's so anti-human because it's like, oh, don't make any meaning out of anything. Or have you met a human?
Oh
Do you know
man,
any humans ever? Like,
just one.
yeah,
So I liked how Parsons was saying that the empty man is a form of meditation that helps you kind of
that
see
was a
through the
cool
veil,
idea. Yeah,
you
that
know.
was a great idea.
And
I
it's like,
like
what is
that.
the empty man? Well, the empty man is more of a veil between reality and everything else.
Yeah, that was really cool. I enjoyed that type of philosophy, and that gets into like the Buddhist concept of like the sunyata, which is like nothingness, and the emptiness that you're supposed to be in Buddhism in order to sort of reach that ascended state of consciousness. I thought that was awesome, but it was just not enough. Just wasn't enough of it. It was that conversation with the cult leader, and then that was it.
Yeah, I was waiting for him to come, another scene with him, because I figured that was the only time we were gonna get the massively intellectual deep sides of this.
No, we got that from Amanda.
We got nothing deep from Amanda, but we got some understanding of what their concepts are from Amanda, like what they believe they're capable of. That's really all we got from Amanda.
I truly think she's a ringleader of all that shit from
based on that haircut.
When she was talking, when she was talking on that bench, dude. In so many aspects of this movie, if I was that dude, if certain things I've been like, I would have just thought to myself like, "Oh well, on my way."
Well.
Yeah, exactly.
Why am I looking for some teenage girl and I can't even remember why? So I'm like, not getting anything from the mama. So what's going on?
I still don't understand.
He was on his antidepressants and stuff, and he thought that's what was messing up his memory.
So did he go to the mom's house in his mind?
I am guessing.
No, that was his house.
But
his
okay,
house
so but
empty.
Right, but no, but like when he goes to after Amanda disappears and she's got the blood on the fucking window or on the mirror, he goes to her there. He's with her. He's with the mom.
I thought he was, sitting there talking with her, and
then she comes over to his house and brings him food.
Right.
That could have been that could have been a hallucination, but how could you? So none of those people existed?
It's like none of that was real. All of that.
None of it was real.
And the only thing that would have made that, like, at least, like, where was he doing all of that?
All that shit was a stage.
So is the police station staged too? Is it because like the policemen
he has to be a real person, no?
I don't know.
That's what pissed me off. Like, dude, how the fuck all it is? Like, you were just born 3 days ago. Like, wait, what? All of that was just fake. And you're saying, well, we had to birth tragedy and sorrow into you so we can have the perfect vessel. It's like, what? Like, once again, you could have got any crackhead that hit rock bottom for this, dude.
No, but they specifically say, at least Amanda does, like the intention and repetition creates flesh.
Creates flesh, yep.
So they literally manifested him out of nothing.
Yeah, they said thought. It was even written. It was even written down.
Thought, concentration, and time.
Thought plus concentration plus time equals flesh.
Yeah,
it doesn't equal flesh. Time. It equals matter, but that's crazy. Like, and that's another great idea that they could have actually focused on was the way that thoughts actually create reality, and they just didn't do that. Now, of course, you can't just create a physical being unless you're thinking of having a child. Like you can't just create a physical being out of nothing.
Or your God.
Yeah, or your God.
Create the universe.
Maybe Amanda is God.
A little bit of sweat.
Maybe that's why she has that stupid haircut. She was God the whole time.
What if God was one of us? We get the Empty Man movie.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Pissing me off. Stop it.
I think the cops were totally unnecessary because they
were
didn't
they
solve
real
anything or do anything. Maybe not. The one cop didn't like James, so his name is La Sombra. How could you not like a guy named La Sombra?
Like James or not, it's just one of those things. I knew about you.
I knew about you.
Mm-hmm.
I heard about
bro.
you.
What the fuck did I do?
Yeah.
My lord.
And then you have the old detective. You're not a cop anymore, but you let him go out doing all this cop stuff.
This is the dead end. You're going all of this spiritual shit. We're not gonna win against. Like,
if he wasn't real and wasn't a cop before, why did he have handcuffs?
where did he get his head? Oh, because he went to the security
Because the
store.
security boy.
The security store that
Oh.
was wide open.
But
that
why
he
did
never
he?
locked.
So he didn't work there.
I thought he worked there.
Well, it was crazy because when he had the fucking when he went back to the place, he broke back into the fucking cult fucking building. They literally had like these weird photos of his supposed family, and next to that, they had like the fucking what's that shit called? The certificate to go get his free food.
Yeah.
I was like, so all that was just made.
And they had that newspaper clipping of I grew up in San Francisco, because he kept saying that over and over again in the movie. If you don't
Right.
remember,
and she repeated
So,
that at the beginning, like, "Hey, we scripted your ass. Shut up."
So maybe James at the very beginning when he was just jogging and working at the security store, that's when he was an empty shell of a man. And they implanted all of these thoughts and things into him 3 days ago. And that's when everything started.
it would have been nice to see that. I don't think so. I mean, maybe.
I could be reaching. I could be
And
reaching,
you-
but I just thought about
And
that.
why was there a picture of him sitting in that chair, buck ass naked?
Because that's when they manifested, and that's when
That's what they
planted the thoughts
created
into his
him?
brain. Yeah.
Oh, they created him
And he came in through that little light into the chair.
onto the chair.
Yep.
Oh, this movie sucks, dude.
You know what they said? You didn't hear him say it? They said, "Let there be James."
Let there be James. And God saw
and
that
he-
it was mediocre.
I'm
Right.
sorry.
He's
If
hands
I
down
could-
the worst ex-cop ever. Also,
Yes.
If I knew making people was this easy, I could have made the perfect anything.
pretty sure
Yeah.
making people isn't that hard.
I mean, come on, this straight up test tube out of fucking thin air on this shit.
Well, I mean, but the underlying concept of time plus concentration equals flesh is sound if you replace flesh with matter or something like that, because like all we do in order to sort of, and see, this is why I wanted to love this movie. All we do in order to sort of like create things is focus our energy and our thoughts on them.
But
And that's
their
what
time.
happened. And
But
our
what
time,
gets-
of course.
But what gets me plot hole wise, if they were able to do this from the very beginning, why the fuck even have this start? They could have did this anytime they wanted. Anytime.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they hadn't. It took them that long to get to that level. They had to get home their powers. One or two powers couldn't activate because they was only singular. And then once they got
And
the
if-
other one, boom.
And if the empty man has to be in a vessel, how come it was found in a cave with a skeleton?
Yeah,
How did
roaming
it
around
survive?
in the cave. How that work?
Yeah, how did it survive?
Oh, it was in the ants. It was in the ants.
Oh, okay.
The
So it was
vessel
in the
ants.
bugs. Ah, okay. Yeah,
I
all
forgot
right.
about the ants at the
All
very
right.
beginning.
Fair
They are
enough.
the-
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
it's
don't
living
really
in
want to run
bugs.
with that, but
I don't either, but I guess that is what they were trying to illustrate with the bugs. Yeah.
yeah, 'cause I was like, why do they keep showing us ants? And like
Mhm.
those weren't even bugs; it was just ants. Maybe I missed some of the other bugs, but I only saw ants.
I'm gonna have fucking nightmares being pissed off at this movie. This has happened before. It's nobody's fault.
Are you having nightmares at the bottom of the empty man pit?
No, I won't have it. I would have nightmares of me throwing my phone or maybe something at the computer screen.
Mm.
That's terrible.
This is gonna haunt me. That's gonna be the real horror.
It's not that bad. Malignant didn't haunt you. You'll be fine.
I sincerely love Malignant over this. I'm sorry. Like that was fun, stupid. It was fun,
Right.
stupid. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, I'm gonna say this right now. I'd rather watch The Little Things
You
again.
lie. I don't believe you. I knew
I'm
you were
dead
going to say it,
serious.
but I was waiting for you to say it to say you lie.
But our low bar is reminiscence now.
This is true.
Yeah, it is.
Reminiscence is definitely our low.
That's the question. Would you rather watch Reminiscence again?
Yes,
Wow. Okay. All right.
July like
Wow.
August.
I am
No
not.
way.
I'm raising my voice. I need-
July in Miami.
My son is asleep. I'm raising my voice. I'm gonna tell you
sorry.
this. I'm not. No, you guys are good. It's just me getting extra and excited.
Hmm.
It bugs me more than those movies because those movies are, it seems like, somewhat of original concept in its own mean. This draws from something that is already existent and could have been something even better. And
Hmm.
this is what bugs me. And it's just like fucking red flags all over it. Like I said, I would appreciate this movie and can be much more graceful to it and to the whole thing if it was not called The Empty Man and it was something else.
Hmm.
That's it. All right, I'm done.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, I mean, for the most part, what James went to the cabin, he gets some files. As Nick covered a little bit ago, he runs into the mob that was chanting, and he hallucinates a bit. But they chase him based on his thoughts of, "Oh my god, fuck this, they're gonna chase me," and he takes off. Um, the cop moment didn't really make sense to me because he told him, write your statement. He really never writes a statement, and everybody in the town. This is one of the first moments I'm thinking everybody in the town knows.
Yeah.
Is him sitting in the precinct. The one cop is kind of just staring at him, and I'm like, why is he on him like that? And the other cop's kind of just treating him like, kind of like coddling him, so to speak.
Hmm.
Hey, hurry up. We want our God.
It kind of, so to speak, like now, in hindsight, in the Maryland, in reality, yeah, that's what it was. It was, all right, man, just appease you until you get to level 32 where we need you.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, a lot of those moments jumped out as far as that, him coming back from the cabin. After coming back from the cabin, he doesn't go back to Nora after that. No. Yes, he
Yeah, he
does.
does.
He goes
Yeah.
straight back to Nora and then takes her to the hotel and hides her away. Which
Right.
again, I'm with Nick on that one. Didn't you 10 minutes from now, you're not gonna know this man.
Right.
I would just stay my ass there.
And how did he get her phone number?
Right. Exactly. If you didn't know this person, why would they be in your phone?
Dude, I would have just walked out. Fuck all this shit.
He
I
couldn't.
would
He was
I
under
would have
her. He was under their mind control.
Dude, I would have just popped a bullet in a fucking helmet hair girl and just went on my way.
Helmet here. Oh yeah, I forgot. In the cabin, he finds the bunch of tapes named Manifestation, but he pops in the one particular one where the guy who looks like Aaron Paul. No, I'm joking.
Hmm.
He did. He did look like
Was he playing with his intestines?
he was playing with his intestine, and he was painting the wall with
Hmm.
his blood.
Cool.
And that's what was left up there. Even though when they showed the picture and everything, when James was looking at it, it looked like there was a paint of a black can of paint on the ground in front of it.
Hmm.
Uh, and so yeah, but after he sees all the craziness, he goes back, hides mom away, which doesn't make sense.
And what was up with the teddy bear?
The teddy bear was clearly also a figment of his imagination, but the teddy bear moved by itself in the cabin, and then it popped up on his doorstep in the middle of a rainstorm,
And rang
and
the
he brought it
doorbell.
in.
Yeah.
What's wrong with this man?
Right.
Worst
He's,
ex-cop ever.
he's fucking schizophrenic.
Yeah,
That's why he's not a cop anymore.
That's where the antidepressants and the sleep aids come in.
There you go.
Because I'm pretty sure. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that.
Or he could have been like
it's not a
Denzel
medically sound assumption. Say
Or
it
he could
again.
have been like Denzel and accidentally shot a witness.
Oh, sorry. I know that didn't just happen. So basically, it just kind of that's where it just falls off. Once he comes back from the cabin, for me, the
Mhm.
movie kind of goes, and I don't even know if it stopped yet. Honestly, I think it's still going while we're talking.
Wait for the sequel.
Waiting for the sequel
Oh,
for it to land. And honestly, I could see this getting a sequel.
The even emptier
No,
man.
I don't think so.
I could.
That movie, this movie it had a budget of $16 million.
Yep.
And it only made $4.8 million.
I did not see what it brought in. That's insane. Well, it went straight to streaming services.
I'm glad it did. I've been
So
mad, fucker.
I think to bring in 4 million and you went straight to streaming services is actually not bad, because that means you've been watched a lot. I couldn't imagine how many times your movie has to be watched to make $4 million on streaming platforms.
I don't even know how streaming platforms make money, dude.
I don't think they do either yet.
I honestly, it freaks me out. I think about it all the time. Like, how do these platforms make money?
I think about it every day when I fire up the Xbox. I'm like, $15 a month. How all these people getting paid from $15 a month?
They're selling our data is the only thing I can think of.
For sure.
And our data must just be that like, lucrative that they can just run.
You know
off
that phone call that you got the other day and you didn't know whose number that was, so you didn't answer it?
Every day. Multiple times a day.
That's how lucrative it is.
I have a fucking phone with those calls. I answer in Spanish and fucking French, and he tell me, "Excuse me, click." Like, oh, okay.
So yeah, another thing. James followed the guy and them, like, again, worst ex-cop, worst tail artist ever. But he gets there and they closed up and closed all the curtains, but you left this one where he could see through. Like, buddy, and nobody else is on the floor. You think that's an accident?
Goof's doing just bowing before the catatonic dude.
Yes, in fact. But I'm just saying, even with James, you think you saw them close and lock everything else up so nobody could see except this one area you standing in where nobody is?
Yeah. Well, also it's never demonstrated that these people are receiving messages from the empty man. So it's like, what are they doing?
We hear his voice and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
They hear his voice, but they don't act on it.
But they're sitting in a fucking circle jerk, blowing fucking bottles. And it's like, you're not on a fucking bridge, bro.
Yeah, exactly. What happened to the bridge?
This is how you know Nick will never be snatched up by a cult.
Never. It doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. I can't join.
No fucking Kool-Aid. I don't even like Kool-Aid, and I'm black.
I don't even like Kool-Aid. Give me some juice.
Damn right. You were past that fucking Sunny Delight.
Oh man.
I need that drink, baby.
Or fucking
I want that purple drink.
Fucking Tang or something. Keep that Kool-Aid shit.
Like, I know we all remember that.
All right, we got Sunny D.
Right. We all remember that face. Like, why is he looking so intently in the opposite direction?
I only want my fucking Kool-Aid when it comes with them gummy bears.
Oh gosh. See, that's how you eat gummy bears. I haven't even thought of that since I was a kid. That was a moment. So this is, again, from a moment ago. This movie's now, we're out of control, guys. For those who, again, if you haven't seen it and you're just here with us still, it got a little crazy by this point, right? And yeah, if you watch it, this would be the point where you're just like, huh? But everything up until this, you're like, yo, this is getting good. We get there and we find out about the brain transmitting comatose patient who, after we find the nurse, the nurse actually, when I think about it, she's another actress or an actor that I've seen in other things.
Why was she so creepy? She said that she couldn't give him any information. She said she couldn't. Yeah. They're all in on it. Why is the entire town in on it?
Because they're all receiving transmitted.
Nobody ever. They don't tell us that. They don't show us that.
I mean, they try to. They think they're showing us that by everybody's cooperation.
I guess.
I mean, that's the best I got.
But what's the end goal? Why does the Hollow Man even want to be in a body?
The empty man.
And empty Hollow Man, Slender Man, Hollow Man, Empty Man.
So you can let out a whole fucking clit into somebody's head out of here, just in that person's body. It just got a new body that's more functional.
Because this is their way of leading into what the novel's really about: the fucking apocalypse.
I don't know,
This is
man.
how they're doing. This is how they're gonna do it.
I'm glad we're watching Sweet Tooth.
But yeah, I think that's why I was joking around about a sequel and whatnot, because I'm thinking that's how they can do it. Now that you understand how the empty man moves and all of that thing, which isn't even how that works, but now they can turn it into a series and branch it out into everything else.
It doesn't make any sense for a psychological monster to need a physical body.
Exactly.
Makes no sense.
When he's like fucking mind controlling people by whistling in the bottles and shit.
Right.
Hey man, welcome to the Upside Down.
They wished it was the Upside Down. At least that makes sense.
Well, upside down cake makes sense, and
Everything is. This dude has the nest.
That's why they got Amanda, because they thought she looked like Will Byers, and they're like, "Oh man, we got a Stranger Things on our hands."
Definitely, we've got a Stranger Things on our hands. So,
she was gonna rape him at the end of this movie.
She really was.
She really
was.
What is she doing?
She was definitely getting her grudge on.
Mm-hmm.
So after we've gotten back to the hospital and James has found all of the files on manifestation and this particular file, we basically find out like, oh, are you real? You're not real. And he's now questioning if he's real. We get to Amanda in the hospital, and that's when we find out for sure from the nurse that it's been 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was like, oh, shoot. Okay, so that's Paul. And I think Paul has aged terribly in 23 years for somebody who hasn't had to, be beaten by the elements.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's also poor circulation to the skin, so maybe. That's where we learn, though, that Paul is the first vessel since the original vessel who was inhabited for 500 years, which would have been the fossilized statue that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
My question is just, like you said, if it needs to be in a vessel, how is it that the skeleton sufficed for 500 years?
I have no idea, honestly.
I'm guessing it just died into the stone and the.
It doesn't seem like it needs a vessel at all. Concept and monster, like extra dimensional is probably the best way to describe it. It doesn't need a physical form.
Yeah, it's basically Virus Dormammu.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we see, and like all of a sudden you like randomly get transported to this place, then this thing is fucking stalking you in this weird kind of like Jeepers Creepers, like fucking factory steam mill place, or like Freddy Krueger style shit, and it just turns into this weird fucking slop and enters through your mouth. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, mouth rapes you.
That was a little bit. I was like,
it kind of reminds me of, though. Have you guys seen Legion season 2?
No,
I'm not seeing Legion.
I haven't had Legion.
Man,
I should too.
You could watch it. Honestly, it's so good. I mean, it's not. I won't overhype it, but it is very good especially with this type of weird psychological stuff. But there's this character. It's not spoiling anything. There's this character in season 2 who's a monk, but he has a virus that makes people seize up and then chatter their teeth in a catatonic state. So anytime anybody's around him, that's what happens to everybody around him. So you can actually follow him by how many people he leaves behind that are like catatonic and chattering their teeth. It would have been cool to have that type of concept, like a contagion, like a psychic contagion. That would have been really cool.
Something similar to what is his name from from Luke Cage and from Jessica Jones?
Oh yeah, Kilgrave. Yeah, absolutely.
Similar to Kilgrave.
Yep.
Still one of the best villains ever. Why don't they just get?
Yeah, that was awesome. The way they explained that power was great.
Yeah, just one of the better written villains in my opinion.
Well, of course. I mean, you had to give it up for one of the OG Doctor Who's.
Yeah, David Tennant. He's great.
And then what else? He was in Harry Potter too as well.
Yep.
Harry Potter. All right.
I love that dude.
Who, Harry Potter?
No, David Tennant.
Yeah.
He's great.
He's got they have a BBC show out on Amazon. It's called Good Omens.
Yep.
Or Bad Omens.
It's Good Omens.
Good Omens. I thought it was Bad Omens.
Might be one. Yeah, might be
But no,
good.
actually, I think it's just Omens.
Might have been one or the other. But yeah, it's pretty good. I like it.
He plays the devil.
Yep.
Well, a demon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that one's just called Omens.
It's a good show.
Yeah, it's on my list. So yeah, basically at the end of this movie, again, like Nick said a little bit earlier, we find out that this is a 500-year-old thing that's jumped from 500-year-old vessel to Paul, and now James has been created over the last 3 days, and he has reached his full aptitude, and he is now being inhabited. And after that, he goes, blows Paul's head off, and everybody in the hospital drops to their knees and puts their forehead to the linoleum and is bowing
That's it.
to James.
Kalima.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah,
And that's it. And then it literally ends.
That's not it. That's not it. You then say, "Huh,"
Yeah.
and then that's it.
Yeah.
It'd be more. See, it made it even more confusing, especially at the end, because it's like, does this thing really inhabit him, or does he still got control? Because you would think,
Right.
well, I shot this thing in the head. No one like, nah, fuck that. This thing is still in there. We're just waiting for him to die and have it transmitted to me. Like, nah, I'm gonna just kill this shit. Then I'm gonna sit there and kill a helmet girl.
Yeah, what happened to Amanda?
Yeah, she just fucking.
Amanda's a follower, so she's kind of she just fell back into the line. And he had already inhabited him, so I think that where I know for a fact that whole scene of him being chased by him and then pinned down and him going into him, that was, I was gonna say Cthulhu.
That was in his head, right? Because that was a weird.
That was in his head. Yes, that was in his
Okay.
head. And the empty man. That was when the empty man transferred. And him shooting Paul was literally him just destroying the old vessel, so that there's not another vessel for it to return to.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been better just to like read.
I'm watching.
I don't know why it needs a. I don't know why it can't just jump into any person.
Especially if you need those certain criteria just to have that type of vessel. So I'm like,
yeah, there's millions of people that fill that criteria. You could just
strong-willed people who have made it through.
Yeah,
this is why it was great concept as a fucking disease, the disease of the brain, to to be insane and fucking violent.
Oh wait, so it was syphilis? I just thought about that.
It's more like fucking rabies in this way, without the zombie. It's basically the whole thing where they try to do the promise of zombies, but without the zombie shit. It's just weird. I mean, it sounds like fresh.
Sounds like Blade 3.
Yeah.
All right. So, but yeah, that pretty much brings us to it. And anything else you guys have on this? I believe I have literally expended my every thought.
Me too.
And the only other thought I have is my rating for this.
Let's do it.
So let's go, Dejan. What do you think?
Goose eggs.
Nice.
Just that fast. If it's like I said, if I want to hear Super Blind and not knowing it was fucking connected to a comic and just binge the whole fucking series within an hour, yeah, I would have probably gave it like a fucking 4. But straight up knowing what I know, and it really pissed me off, I was just like, yeah, just to know, because I just can't indulge into that crap. When just Hollywood producers and all the directors just continue to do that shit. And shame on fucking Colin Bunn as a comic book writer to let that shit get greenlit.
Hey man, that man probably paid his mortgage for like 2 years off of this joint.
Yeah, and he's like, well, it flopped, but I got paid. But it also gave me some ideas for like TV show comic book adaptations of shit that did flop, but do deserve the airtime. And it just, yeah.
No, I agree. I think that happens a lot. We go through these things, we see things that we know could have been better, and we immediately realize why we see the type of things we see on TV.
But like I said, if it was anything else not connected, it would have got a hell of a better score because it would have gave me some laughs, which it did. But yeah, I'm sorry. It's straight zero. Just it really irked me after the fact
Hmm.
and
Fair
start
enough.
diving into it.
Fair
But
enough.
the acting was good. It was good.
Mm.
I like the acting.
Yeah. I'm gonna be a little bit more charitable, and I'm gonna say
Do it.
I'm gonna give it a 3. Um, I want to give it a 0 too because I don't think it executes anything that it did well. But there are just certain things, I'm a sucker for philosophy, and if anytime you try to rope me in with some, like some existential ideas and stuff, I find myself interested for sure. I was teetering on the verge of interest and boredom for the entirety of the movie up until the last 30 minutes. So I mean, for that, at least it does deserve something. Like I didn't do the like, oh, I'm so bored. I did look at my watch a couple times. Um, but yeah, the last bit of it just makes it kind of fall apart, and it makes me want to go read the graphic novels, which I'm giving it a point for. So, like at least it's inspiring me to go read the source material and hopefully get a better story out of that. So yeah, a 3.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. This definitely made me want to go read the source material. More so than watch the movie again, but I would still watch this over the little things. Um, I am giving this a 4. Or- Yeah, a 4. Reason being, I had to rate it higher than Malignant, but not so much higher than Malignant that it's like, oh man, you really like this. Like, no, I just liked it more than Malignant. That's all. So, right above Malignant.
Mm.
Um, I'm going to give this a solid 4 because Malignant, I believe I gave a 3.5, or I think actually we might have gave it a 3.5 as a collective when I think about it.
How dare you?
I can let you know what our ranking is here.
Mhm.
Just 1 second. So if you give it a 4, I give it a 3. That's a 7 divided by 3 is 2.3.
Mhm.
So it's getting a 2.3. Malignant's at a 5.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking about something else then.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that that's fair. So what is this called? The Empty
Empty
Man.
Man.
Empty Man is
It might
currently
have
now
been better
sitting
than.
at a 2.3, which is on par with Reminiscence.
I might say I think it's definitely better than Reminiscence. I don't know if it's a 2.3, but I understand. And as well, you guys know my point breakdown is always pretty simple. 1 point because the acting I did like. 1 point because I want to go read the source material. 1 point because I was entertained, and another point simply because, eh.
I'll tell you guys this.
Oh well, for me it's originality, but that's still meh because I realize it's not that original.
I'll tell you guys this. And the art is beautiful and gorgeous. It goes right along with the storytelling.
Mm.
And I just have this feeling, if you guys, whenever you guys decide to dive into this, I think you guys will definitely have like a change of heart on your ratings on that. You're gonna be like, motherfuckers.
I believe it. I believe
Oh
it, to
yeah,
be
no, like I
honest.
said, once I found out what the plot of the novels were, I was pissed at the movie immediately. But I tried to at least give the movie a chance and give it a rating based on the movie itself, and not because I don't really know much about the novel except the synapses.
Well, I
Haven't
see
read
that
haven't
there
read it.
are I see that there are copies here on Amazon. I'll probably buy. I like reading physical copies, so
Nice.
yeah, I'll probably buy
I
a
like the
physical
smell
copy.
of it.
Yeah, exactly. Although the paperback is $50, crazy. Maybe I won't buy issue 1. Maybe I'll read that on the Kindle.
All
Oh
right.
shit.
So yes,
Wow.
that gives us a 2.3 out of 30 for the movie The Empty Man. I almost said The Pet Cemetery, which is hilarious.
Hmm.
Um, that gives us a 2.3 for the movie The Empty Man. For those who have stuck around with us, we appreciate it. For those who are listening to us on the playback, we appreciate you as well. And just know that we will be here for you every Wednesday and every Sunday at 8:30 p.m. with a variety of different shows and movies with our opinions and you know what can I say? But we have fun doing this. Whether you think we do or don't like a movie, just know that we are absolutely entertained. Just giving our opinions and being genuine with you guys about it.
Hmm.
Thanks for tuning in. First Screen Time continuing. I am Keelan.
I am Nick.
I'm the mustard.
We
Good
appreciate you
night.
guys.